Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Mike. It's just coming up on 3 o'clock Central Time. I'll get started in about 15, 20 seconds. So get started right on time. I don't want to keep you guys on too long. It's Friday and it's been a long week. So, we'll get started in about 15, 20 seconds, right on the hour. So, again, thanks for taking the time out today. I know everybody's busy, and then I know a lot of people are in different locations than me. Some guys are in Europe right now. I don't think the Asian guys in Asia have woken up yet, but if you did manage to get in, I appreciate it. So what I'll be talking about today is our newest indicator, the Orderflows Stratum indicator. And one of the questions I got was, why do you call it the Stratum indicator? And basically, the word stratum, it's got to do with different layers, right? And we're talking about layers in the order flow, and more specifically, layers of volume within the value area, right? We all know what the value area is in order flow. It's a market profile term. A lot of people that are familiar with volume profile also use it. It's the area where 70% of the volume trades, and that period, it could either be a day period, an hour period, a 30-minute period, or even on a very micro level. But we're going to get into that. So before I jump in and everything, just a brief disclaimer: do understand that we're all adults here. Trading involves risk. Only risk capital should be used for trading. Only those with sufficient risk capital should be trading. So again, where we came up with the name Stratum is, think of it like this, right? You look at the side, say there's a earthquake or a big mudslide somewhere, and you always see the picture of the mountain, right? And you see, sort of the different layers of soil, right? And you see where some layers are thicker, more compact, others is a bit lighter. And it's not till you look at it up close and personal that you can see, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, I can see why this layer held for so long, or why this part hasn't fallen down. It just really gives you, it's like chopping away at the side of a mountain, what you're doing with the order flow, right? You're taking what is considered, a support or resistance, right? The value area. We all know what value is and what it means to traders, right? Traders uh, should think in terms of value, and that can act as your support or resistance area. And it's just like the mountain, right? It's going to act as your support or resistance until it starts to chip away. And what causes it to chip away, right, or fall apart sometimes is the different layers is not very strong. And that's really what the order flow stratum does, is it looks at these different layers of volume within the value area to determine, is this bullish or bearish? So just really briefly, the stratum was born when analyzing the order flow in the context of value. What most traders do is look at market profiles or volume profiles and trade the pattern. Now, what stratum does is it looks at the order flow taking place in that pattern, right? If you've ever read the great books on market profile, the Dalton books, the Stoudemire books, you know that there's different types of profiles. There's just not one profile that appears over and over. You have your distribution days, your double distribution days, your normal variation days, etc. But the way that the volume trades within those value areas is different, right? Those different types of value areas have different meanings. Why is it's due to the volume that's trading inside, right? And one of the reasons why we decided to really dive deep inside the volume in the value area is because that's where the volume is, right? We don't necessarily need to be analyzing the outside the value area where there's very little volume going through. So big moves start, right, when a market moves out of value in search of new value. Yes, we know that. But really what you could do, you could take a chart and you could draw a value area starting anywhere, right? Some traders think there is a hard and fast rule that you have to start drawing a value area at the beginning of the day. No, you don't. You could open up a chart, say you're using a monthly chart. You could start it at anywhere you want. I like to start them at swing highs or swing lows. Do I have to start at the beginning of the day? No, I can start it at the cash open. I like to anchor it with a certain point. So even though you could draw, value areas anywhere, really what you want to be doing is looking at how the volume is developing in that value area to tell you if it's bullish or bearish. right? And remember, each value area is different. The way volume is being distributed inside the value areas is different. So for example, right, I just threw up these are just Bund charts. This is a Bund chart from, I don't know what day this is, yesterday. This is, from this area here, from the swing low to the swing high, volume is here, right? We got your normal day, your normal distribution right here. Whereas from that swing high to the swing low, volume is distributed very differently. So how you're going to trade it is going to be very different. Here's another example, right? Also, just from swing highs to swing lows, looking at sort of these different value areas, how the volume is being distributed inside, they're all sort of different, right? Here you got the point of control on the top of the bar. Here you got it sort of up, near the top. Again, sort of near the top. Here you got it, in the middle. Here you got it in the middle. Here you got it up near the top. But the way the volume is being distributed in here is different. Here you got a little void in here. Here you got a little bit of a void here. Here it sort of comes out a little bit, comes out again, bigger, sort of, they all got different shapes, and that's fine. But watching how the volume in this sort of pocket here of this range is being traded is going to give you insights into the market that not many people have or are interested in looking at. Most traders, they like to look at normal bar charts and follow price. Okay, but what is price doing? Well, price is reacting to where value is forming. So, one of the advancements when we released the new version of Orderflows Trader earlier this year was being able to put the value areas on a bar, right? And it was very revealing. A lot of traders are loving it and added it to their trading because it gives them insights as to where value is forming, on a bar by bar basis, over several bars, over a period of time, over volume. It's just giving traders a whole new perspective. But the problem is for other traders is trying to determine which value areas have bullish order flow or bearish order flow taking place. And again, that's where the stratum comes in, is it's going to analyze how the volume inside value areas are being distributed to tell you right here that this is bullish, right? That this is bullish. Okay. Now I'm using the trade entry signal. That's why you don't see the signal. I know that this is the bar that was analyzed. I know this is the bar that's analyzed. The signal's not appearing here. It's appearing on the next bar because one, you want the bar to close. You want to be sure that, the period that you're analyzing is complete, right? Because, you've ever looked at bars. I mean, just watching bars develop, that sometimes bars start out very bullish, then they end up very bearish. Okay. And if you were just watching, price, you're thinking, hey, I gotta get long because this order flow is looking bullish, and you get long, but then the bar reverses and closes down, and you're long and wrong. So I like to let the bars close, for the confirmation, tell you, hey, you know what? Yeah, that was bullish. What happened in there in the order flow? Then when the next bar opens up, that's where I'm getting the signal come in here. Okay, so let's take a look at some real, just charts from today. Okay, because that's going to give you the best idea. So the settings, very simple. Okay, and I'm going to take you through. I'm going to show you a bunch of different charts from just today with the different settings. And really, the only settings you really need to worry about is one is the magnitude level, right, of the strength, so to speak. We call it the magnitude level, because stratum's got to do with the earth, and magnitude. You think of earthquake, so we want to keep it in line there. I could use the word strength, but it's the same meaning. Strength level 1 through 5. 1 being the weakest, 5 being the strongest, 3 being sort of the midpoint. You can also use 2 and 4. Some markets that trade light volume to sort of medium volume, you might want to jump in around 2 maybe, or volume markets that trade a lot of volume, for example, or not a lot of volume but have a lot of volatility, then Q, Russell, DAX, you'd use a setting of 5. But you also got a slightly weaker one of 4 to go to, but really the ones I stick around with are 1, 3, and 5. And the other setting is the swing filter, right? Right here. To enable it, you'd click this box. So there's a check mark there and your swing period. Basically, what you'd be looking for, and I'll show you on the charts, is you're looking for, swing highs or swing lows to trade around, right? I mean, you ideally, if you could sell a swing high or buy a swing low, that's great, right? You want to buy high, buy low and sell high. And where you're going to do that, you're going to do that around swings, basically. So let's pull up some charts here. So really quick, different markets, different volumes, different volatility, and I'll just deal with settings 1, 2, 3, and 5. Okay, I'm not going to talk about 4 because honestly, it's a fine line between 4 and 5. But when you're analyzing a market, always start at 1. Okay, with the swing filters turned off. Settings of 1, the markets would be like the ultra 10 years, the corn, the 5 years, and the 10 years. So let's pull up a chart here. So what is it? This is E-minis. So let me just go. Well, I'll pull up pull up corn real quick here, and I'll just change the setting to, I don't know, I got it on here right now. This one looks nice, actually. This is a setting of 3. Okay, see right in here. So swing filter is turned off, right? There's no check there in this box, so it doesn't matter what you have in the swing period. I'm using a level of 3. Okay, now today in corn, well, the agricultural markets, they had their supply and demand report came out today. Supply and demand number in grains is like the non-farm payrolls or even CPI nowadays, is to equities and the bond market. So it was a big, very big number. But under normal conditions, you could use 1. Again, you can also use 3. Sort of the higher you go with magnitude, the less signals you're going to get. So this was today in corn. Okay, obviously, I mean, it looks like this is where it opened, but this is when the supply and demand numbers get released, is 11 o'clock Chicago time. Big move down, big move up, a little short here, another move up, another move up. Market's closed right now. But you can see here, this is actually when the market's reopened at 8:30. I mean, it trades at night, but then it reopens at 8:30 in the morning. And normally this is how corn trades. What you see here this afternoon is due to the data release that came out. So this is a setting of 1. Okay, so how does it look on the previous day? Again, very shortened hours. It's a grain contract, but here's your high, here's your low. You can also adjust, again, like the swing filter, right? Say I just want to get the signals appearing at swing highs or swing lows, right? You can enable that, and you can change, whatever swing period you want. 1, 5, 10. I don't think you really need to go above, 15, especially if you're an intraday trader. But let's just see how it looks. Okay, so not a lot. So you see it filtered out a lot of signals because they're not happening at swing highs or swing lows. So here's a couple buys. Here's a sell. Here's a buy. Again, that was yesterday. This was on the reopen last night, but during the day session here, yeah, I mean, we had that very tight range right ahead of the number. There's a short here. It doesn't look like much, but it's, this is what, 31 and a quarter down to 28. It's a $3 move. That's 150 bucks. This is a little bit bigger move here. This one didn't work out. That's with the swing filter on. If you don't want to use a swing filter, you just disable it. Okay, like this. Just uncheck that box, right? So you're going to see a lot more signals. Maybe you just want you want to filter out some trades, but not too many. Swing filter of 5 is looking for a bigger swing high or swing low. The minimum you could use is 1, right? So now you're seeing, here, up here, up here. You're seeing a few more trades, sorry, a few less trades because you got the swing filter there. than when it's off. But if it's, set to a higher number of 5, this one will disappear, this one will disappear. I'm not sure about that one. So this is with the swing filter of 5, right? So you got, though that one's still there, the short here, the short here. If you were to set, also I'll disable the swing filter and I'll set the magnitude level to 5 just to give you an idea. Okay, so here's a very strong setting of 5. You can see no swing filter. You're seeing a few moves, okay, here, here, even here and here. But, again, on a market like corn that just doesn't put in a lot of volume, you might find yourself waiting around a lot for trades, okay? Just sort of going back, sort of previous days. I mean, some quick burst here, a little short there. Just another market that I think, doesn't get a lot of attention is 5 years. So let's just pull up 5 years real quick here. Let's give it a second here. Now, 5 years is, trades on the board of trade. It's a nice contract, trades in quarter ticks. And whoops, got the wrong 5 year. Need the futures 5 year. That is, again, when you're first adding the Stratum to a chart, you don't know where to start. Again, I'll send you these settings. I'll send you guys the slide deck here with all the different, markets and settings, just so you could have them. But this one is set to, what was that? What I leave it on 5, right? Yeah, 5, which is quite high, right? That's a bit much. So I'm not surprised that there's not a lot of signals, right? That's what I'm expecting, in this market, right? But you can see, there's some nice moves because 5 is very strong. For 5 years, I prefer a setting of 1, just because it doesn't have a lot of volatility. Markets that don't necessarily have a lot of volatility, I always like to start it at 1. So just go back to today's session here, right? Some nice, nice move up, nice move down. That's early in the morning. Just before 8 o'clock, a nice move up here, nice little move up here. Nice move down, back up, down, back up. 5 years, in my opinion, is one of those markets that just doesn't get it doesn't get the love. But if you want to add a swing filter, just click that box. Swing period, you can start at 1. If you want a bit wider swing period, you can change it to 3, or you can change it to 5. So you see it says calculating up here. So it's got that move down, this move up, this little move here. That might have been a scratch, but nice to catch that move down. But you catch this move back up, move back down. So these are the markets I recommend for setting of 1. Whether you want to use a swing filter or not is up to you. But try it at first with the setting at 1. It said if you think you're getting too many signals, try a swing filter. Now 2, setting of 2. Okay, so it's a little bit stronger. Remember, 1 is the weakest, but 2 is the strongest. And what it's looking at the distribution of the volume, how strong it is, right, in terms of bullishness or bearishness. And the reason, as you go higher, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the more volatile markets, right? You got to remember, right? Volatile. What is volatility? It's price looking for an area to transact around. If there's not a lot of volume being traded, like for example in DAX, then you're going to have wider value areas, and the calculations for the Stratum take that into account, right? That's why you have a stronger magnitude level. Okay, so in case you're wondering, why isn't everything just 5, or everything just 1, or everything just 3? It's because different markets have different volatility. They have they trade different volumes. I mean, you can't trade the NASDAQ or the mini Russell the same way you would trade corn. right? I mean, most people don't trade corn and mini Russell, but some people do. But you got to understand that when you're dealing with different markets, there's different variables inside the market. So when I say a setting of 2, anything in 1 can also be used too. So again, anything that you're using with the setting of 1, you can also bump it up to 2 and use it as well. But the markets that I like to look at with the setting of 2 or even 1 is bonds, ultra bonds, British pound, soybeans, gold. Gold's one of those tricky markets. Sometimes the volatility just ramps up. Sometimes it gets a bit quiet. And just give you an idea, I said anything in two, anything that's used with setting of 1 can be used also with setting of 2. The same thing would apply when you're going to a setting of 3, right? You could also, some of these like bunds, maybe you want to have, not as many signals. So you're going to use a setting of 3 because as the magnitude level goes up, the less signals you're going to get. So let's go back to the charts here. Okay, so what did I say? Bunds, FGBL. Bunds is a terrific market to trade. If you're in Asia, obviously, if you're in Europe, Asia, it's great because it opens up in the afternoon and you got it all afternoon to trade it. I sometimes I wish I was back in Asia because I like to sleep late whenever possible as I get older. I like to sleep in, and trading bunds in Asia, you don't have to get ready until it's after lunchtime already when the markets open. It's like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is bunds, okay? So what was this setting, I think? Oh, this one I think I got a swing filter on. So it's a swing filter of 1, right, with the magnitude level of 1. Okay, so let me just turn that off. I'll set the magnitude level at 2. Because if I had a magnitude level of 1 with no swing filter, I'd get more signals, which is probably, most people get scared. They got a lot of signal. Oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? So you can see here is a level of 2, right? And this is, if you're a bit more active, maybe that's fine for you. You've been using it, show you the difference between 1 and 2. So this is at 2. This is 1. Go back to 1. So it's going to be a bit more, right? You can see it's just a bit more. If I were to go to 5, it's going to be a lot less, right? Some people may want to use this, but be careful, right? Because you think, oh, hey, this is great. I mean, look, I got this, this move here, got some moves here. Sometimes, on days like this, right? Yeah, I caught this move here, but you didn't catch anything down there because you're being too strict. If you go, again, if you go down to 2, 2, which is what sort of the level that I like for bunds, you're a bit more active on this move down, right? To catch that nice move down. Yeah, sure, you get stopped out here, you get stopped out here, but you catch a nice little move up here, but you catch that big move here, right? Here to here, right? From here to here back up, right? Again, there's a lot of activity in the bunds that you can take advantage of. And again, if you want to add a swing filter on there, just click on swing filter. Right, it's going to clean it up a little bit if you think there's too many signals, right? So just sort of go back here, right? Look at this, catch this nice, beautiful move down. Doesn't look like much, but this is a move from 80 all the way down into down into the 40s. It's a $400 move. Again, this move up, this nice move down. Some small moves right in there. Another one, ultra bonds. Ultra bonds, obviously, for me, I think trade very similar to bunds. Ultra bonds obviously are in 30 seconds. This is the same setting that I was using in the bunds, right? I think I had a swing filter on of 1, but again, you don't need to use the swing filter unless you just want to filter out some trades. I think, just look at this nice move up here, move down, this nice move down, move down, move up. If I had the swing filter off, it's going to give me more signals. But for me, sort of the sweet spot with ultra bonds is setting of 2, right? So here, right, you're seeing a bit more signals because it's not looking for swing highs or swing lows. I mean, the signals are in the same direction as the moves. I mean, this V shape right here, you know, down, 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 then back up. You're being a bit more active. If you were to have it set at say 5 as a strength, yeah, there'll be signals, but there's going to be a lot less. Okay. Yeah, guys, I see your questions coming through. I'm going to get to them sort of at the end, so I don't get sidetracked now. But yeah, I am seeing your questions. So if you got questions, be sure to throw them in there. Deborah, I see your questions. Steve, I see yours. Okay, so let's set this back to 2. Let's just take a look at another market here real quick. British pound. You know, currencies I like to trade: British pound, euro currency, Japanese yen. You know, futures wise, those are the contracts that I think are tradable. I mean, you could trade the other ones like peso and things like that, but you could there's so many contracts out there available for trade. So this is British pound. So 1 minute chart. British pound, nice thing about that, just the same with euro. You can trade it during the European hours. You know, there's plenty of activity. But you can see here, right, there's some nice moves. This is a setting of 2. So again, this is starting at 1 in the morning until about 7:30 in the morning. If I were to have a setting of 1, again, you'll see a lot more signals. Right? If you have a setting of 2, which is what I recommend, the swing period of 1, right, it's going to filter out some of the trades, right? If you had actually a bigger swing filter, it's going to filter out more. But I mean, you know, this is what trading is about, right? You get those big moves, right? You want to stay with the trend, and when you're wrong, get stopped out. When you're wrong, get stopped out. You know, you just 1, 2, 3, 4 bad trades. Then you can get it back on this one trade right here. Right? Then you got to trail your stop. Just really quick, turn that back, put it back on normal. Let's get things, take a look at wheat, soybeans, okay? Again, soybeans is also is a grain contract. They had the number today, a big drop right here, but this is a setting of 2, right? So let's look at a different day. I mean, this is the evening session. It trades decent volume in the evening sometimes. Again, you know, there's other contracts you should be trading in the evening. So a setting of 2, you know, if you put a swing filter on, it will clean it up a bit. Use the minimum swing filter of 1. And, you know, let's clean it up. So you're seeing, you know, shorts in here, shorts, shorts, shorts. You know, this long end didn't really work out. You know, during the evening session, a lot of Asian, you know, there's a lot of trade with grains during the Asian hours. You know, here's the open. Obviously, you know, I'm not going to say, yeah, you would have caught that. You're not going. You don't want to trade on the supply and demand release. It's very volatile. But it was interesting though. The number came out very bearish. You see, it sold off, and it basically recovered right back to where it was. You know, this is a big move for grains. 60 cents down to 20 cents. Got down to, what is that? 15 something, 15 and a quarter. But that's a huge move in grains. That's what, 40 cents. It's a $2,000 move in grains. Okay, so let's go back to the settings. So setting a 3, okay, euro currency, e-minis, crude oil, ultra bonds, soybeans, grain, gold. So like these 3, again, I say you could use a setting of 2. You can also use a setting of 3. So let's take a look at the charts here. Now, when a setting of 3, you know, you could also add a swing filter of 1 if you like. Again, you can do that with anything. Sometimes, you know, people get nervous taking too many trades. They don't want to think a lot. But if you're using you know, if you're using something like markers, which this works with, it will call it, it'll read those markers. So let's go here, magnitude level of 3. All right, so let's just go start looking at these other markets. Crude. Hey, crude's, it's nice to see the price of oil come down. Again, I'd rather the price of oil be lower than higher, just because I use a lot of gasoline driving around a lot. But I like stocks going up, price of oil going down, just in general. It's a personal thing. So, okay, so this is a setting of 3. Okay, so all right, it's catching this. It doesn't look, again, crude oil has been volatile, this year. Volatile more so than ever. Um, and as the price of oil gets higher, you're going to get bigger swings. I mean, that's just normal. That was the thing with something like Bitcoin, right? Everyone talks about, sometimes you have these bars where Bitcoin goes up $1,000 or comes off $1,000, but it's all relative, right? They don't those traders, they don't really understand that. They think, oh, look at Bitcoin went up $1,000 or Bitcoin went down $1,000. Well, yeah, we're trading 50,000. It could go up and down $1,000 very easily. And when we're trading 250,000, those swings will be 5,000, 10,000. So while it doesn't look like much of a move here, it's 94, 20, all the way down to 92s. Again, some more moves there. This is a setting of 3. If you want, you could add a swing filter to sort of clean it up a bit. Minimum of 1. You could use 5 if you really want to be a little bit stricter. I know some people with buyer indicators like to use 10, or they're a bit more strict. So you see, when you get a little bit stricter, it takes out that short there, it takes out some of the shorts. But some decent moves to be had there in this market. Nice little move up here. Let's take a look at E-minis. Again, go back here, right? So setting at 3, euro currency, E-minis, again, crude oil, ultra bonds, these 3 also can be used with the setting. You could use, settings of 3, 5, it doesn't matter. It all comes down to your own risk tolerance and what you're comfortable with. So you can see it still says calculating here. So just give it a second. The thing is, when, like me, you can see I don't know if you can see on the screen, but I've got about 25, 30 charts opened up down here. I like to, yeah, I don't flip through, I don't change my charts. I don't keep like one chart open and keep changing it during the day. I'll just, flip through, like that, tabs, use the tab feature. So again, this is a setting of, what is that, 3. It's got the swing filter on, so that you're not seeing a whole heck of a lot of signals. But if you turn off the swing filter, you probably start to see some more signals. We got this nice rally going on late in the day here, where it's hard to believe 4280. Gosh, acting up a bit slow right now. But again, you can use different time frames. I did just glance at a question. People ask me, with order flow, right? Oh, I look at a 5-minute chart or a 15-minute chart, 30-minute chart. Can I use order flow? You can. There's certain aspects of order flow that you could use on longer term charts. But again, you're best served using order flow, the information, as quickly as possible. So, I tend to stay 5 minutes and under. That being said, I'll also look at tick charts and volume-based charts, and not so much range-based charts anymore. I just find the market too volatile for that. But when you're using, tick-based charts or volume-based charts, it's based on the amount of trade. So it can take more than a minute. It could take more than 5 minutes sometimes. Okay, so this is different dynamics. You see there's nice move here from the 50s all the way up into the 70s. Again, this is a setting of 3. Now, when you're getting into the night session, right? Again, there's nice moves here last night. This is like what, the 20-ish area here up there, this move down. Sometimes if I'm looking at the night session, I will, in some markets, use a swing filter. You don't have to. If you just find yourself with too many trades, this is yesterday in the E-minis, this nice move up, this nice move down. Again, the overnight session, right? This nice move up, this nice move down. This was the unemployment. This was the CPI number day. It's hard on trading such a big number like that, especially on a market that everyone is watching, waiting to see. But there's opportunities in the night session that you can take advantage of. This is, again, the previous day. You see during the day session, this was on the 9th, which was what, Monday, I believe. Was that Monday or? That's right, that was Tuesday. Not a whole lot, right? There was, once the cash opened, there's this one buy, which didn't really go anywhere. This sell, this buy. And that was pretty much, that was it for the day. Now, setting a 5, okay. Again, you could use 5 for every market out there, but, on normal markets, when you start ramping it up, you're going to get fewer signals, right? And I really recommend setting a 5 for markets that are a bit more volatile than most, Russell, DAX, NQ, MNQ, YM. I didn't include YM on here. You could use 3, or you could use 4 or 5. You could put it under 5, you could put it under 3 as well. But let's take a look here. Okay, so let's go to RTY. Where are you here? RTY. Just give it a second here. So, these more volatile markets, first time you load them up, it takes a little bit longer because there's just so much information. And by information, I mean, data it's got to analyze. So this is a setting of, what was that? Of 3. Again, I don't like 3 because the market's just a bit more volatile than I like to see. So I like to set it at 5. And again, the more volatile the market is, you might want to add on a swing filter, right? A minimum of 1. So you can see, cash open right here, 8:30. This move down here. Again, this is about a 5-point move here. This move up, pulls back right to around your entry point, and then takes off again. Those 2 sells didn't really materialize much. This was the overnight session. Again, the problem with market like Russell overnight can be crap at periods like this during Asia. This was yesterday's session. I don't want to say, yeah, look, you could have bought here and got that move. During the cash session, these were the moves here. Could have caught this one. Hopefully got that move there. Again, this is the night session, kind of crappy volumes, right? You got some bars that's just trading. There's probably no trade going on in some of these periods, or it's just, one trade goes through at one price. It's just looking like that. It's a bit deceiving. The day before, here's a move here. This one took off. It's been kept going, but that's then the next day, the previous day, Tuesday, there really wasn't much, right? I showed you the E-minis. There's only 4 trades during the cash session. Cash opened up where right here on Russell, there's only 1 trade here. There's this 1 short trade. Let's take a look at another volatile market, DAX, right? For you guys in Europe that like to trade DAX, again, the setting of 5. Okay, to show you DAX, right? 5, right? No swing filter. Okay, right. It's a nice move there, but really DAX, you want to be trading during European hours, right? Nice move up here. This moves back up. This little move down. This one was nothing. That was nothing. Again, the day before. I think for people in America that trade DAX, you got to realize that the European cash market closes like around 10:30. I forget the timings. I think it's by 10 o'clock, volume really, after 10 o'clock, the volume really dries up in DAX, but it's a nice market to trade, right? You can see this nice move here, some nice little moves here. The day before, before the CPI in the US came up, nice move there. Even the day before. So you can see these nice moves here, right? Moves up, down, back up. NQ. Just pull it up here real quick. Just give it a second to come up here. Rick, tell him the guy is here. Okay, so it's, again, thing with the NQ is it takes some time to load the first time, right? But if you have it running on your chart, you're not going to have that lag there. So this is a setting of 5. You see during the day, right, there's no trades. Setting of 5 is kind of strict. Okay. Here, one trade after the close. Look at that, one trade, 920. And, if you only get one trade a day, don't you want that one trade? Day before, right? Again, I'm not saying, oh, look at how it worked, right ahead of the number. That's not one that you want to do. But we'll change it to a setting of 3. We'll bring it down a little bit. Okay, so now you're going to see probably, some more, but it's taking a while to come up. But again, you just have to have it open on your chart, right? You got to go through your charts and see which setting really works best for it. So just give it a second here. I know it's still loading. But really quick, Albert asked, what's the color bands with the signals? Well, there's what we call zones, and I'll get into this in a minute. Zones, basically, you see, it's hard to see on this type of chart because it's kind of small, but like, like here, these are what we call the zones. What that is, that's just basically an alert to me or to the trader that, hey, you know what, the conditions were met, but the signal is actually on the down triangle or the up triangle, okay? And I'll talk about that in a second. So this is with the setting of 3, right? Again, no swing filter, setting of 3. So yeah, you're getting more signals, but I mean, is more really better, right? Would you rather have less that are more accurate or more that, cause some people, like, they can't take, they can take this trade, stop and or take this trade, fine, but then, oh my God, I got loss here, or loss here. Okay, especially after they had, they took this one, and maybe they open their screen up at 4 in the morning, take it first trade, loser, second trade, winner, then loser, and thinking, you know what, this doesn't work, right? And then the next signal comes up here and they don't take the trade, then what happens? So, that's just something to play around with. Again, if I'm looking at NQ in the night session, 3 is okay. Again, you could use 5, You could even use 4, right? 3, 4, 5. I would not use 1 or 2 on NQ. If you use 1 or 2, you're going to get a heck of a lot. So, here we'll set it to 4. On the NQ, I'll just go back here to the beginning. Then I'll take a look at the questions here. Okay, Warren asks, what's the best hours to trade the U.S. indices? Well, obviously there's the U.S. session, right? That's when you're going to have the most volume. But honestly, I think it's fine from about 2 a.m. Chicago time until 3. There's plenty of volume. Even if you're going to trade it during the Asian hours, which is the evening time, Chicago time, trade it around the Japan hours, which would be about 8 o'clock p.m. until about midnight. After midnight until about 1:30, volume just it's pathetic. So this is setting of 4, right? So yeah, there's some buy signals there today. I don't know. Again, the day before. Still getting that one signal up there, which is nice. Honestly, myself, I'm not a big NQ trader. I will play around in the MNQ during the night session sometimes if I'm trying to catch a move and I want some action. Like say I see something in the ES, but I know ES can move slow during the Asian hour, so sometimes I'll try and squeeze something out of NQ or MNQ. So again, this is a setting of 4. So buy signal here, sell here, buy here. So I'm going to get to the questions now, but if you're interested, the Orderflows Stratum, all right, you just go to orderflows.com /stratum, and that'll get you started. But let's take a look at some of the questions here. I'll put the link in the chat. David asks, does this work better than your Delta Scalper for scalping MES? Well, there's 2 different indicators. There's different ways of looking at the order flow. This doesn't look at Delta. Okay, Delta Scalper looks at Delta. So it's really hard to say. I mean, I don't know what chart you're scalping it on. If it's like a 1 minute or 30-second, it really depends. I mean, but it's different aspects of the order flow, right? There's more than one way to trade the markets. So let's go back here. So does the markers print? Steve asked, does the markers print after the bar closes? Okay, so that's a good question because I did want to talk about this and I didn't talk about it yet. So let's just choose a market. I don't know. Let's keep it simple. Wheat. Okay. For wheat, so what do I got on here? Okay. I'm just using this one for example purposes. Okay, setting a 4, fine. Okay, I mean I could use a 3 or 4. I mean 4 looks quite nice actually, but on wheat I like to use 3. Okay, so one of the questions were what were these little blue and red things are? Okay, so obviously the red triangles down are sell signals, the blue triangles up, but this is the actual signal bar here, right? That's why it has this blue zone. And I use these as, sort of visual markers that if I get into the trade and the trade starts coming down into the zone, there's a chance that it's going to fail, right? This is an area where I'd be putting my stop. Okay, now you can turn off those zones actually. You can just go in here and signal box width, and just expand this a bit here. Set to 5, that's 5 bars out. Well, signal bar, the next 4 bars. If you change it to 0, that would remove it. Okay, so you see it's not there anymore. Okay, but again, I like to have it just as a visual. Now there's this other thing called the trade entry signal, right? That is on, right? That's checked. So even though this is the signal bar, it's the buy signal or the sell signal is appearing in the bar afterwards because the bar is closed and it's starting to move by a certain amount of ticks over a certain amount of bars. So what that means is it's going 2 price levels, 1, 2, over the next 2 bars, 1, 2. Okay, if I have this turned off, it will appear actually on the signal bar. Okay, right here, right here. But I use it because the way I trade is I let the order flow, I want to have that follow through order flow going in the same direction, right? I don't want to, oh, I got a signal here. I immediately got to get long, right? The signal was generated when the supply and demand number came out. Okay, if I got long, well, I'm gonna get stopped out. There's no follow through order flow. Just like here, these 2 cells that are appearing over here, right? Yeah, if you just got short immediately, yeah, it worked out. Okay, or got long immediately here, it worked out. But I don't want trades like this where, even though the conditions are met, get short immediately, get stopped out. So it's going to keep me out of this trade. It's going to keep me out of this trade, right? I want to use the order flow to its fullest potential, right? I like to have the order flow come in and tell me that it's still bullish, even after you have the bullish order flow set up, okay? So if you have it turned on, the trade entry signal turned on, then the signal will appear after the signal bar is closed and you have that follow through confirmation, right? If you have it disabled, it will appear as soon as the conditions are met in the bar. So even if the bar is still forming, it will appear there, right? It could disappear because the bar is still forming. The bar is not closed yet, right? So it could be bullish very early, then late it could turn bearish, right? Or bearish order flow come in to wipe out whatever bullish order flow was there. Then the signal will disappear. But once the bar closes and it prints the signal, it will stay there, okay? But the trade entry signal, it keeps me out of trades. Right? It keeps me out of this short here that went nowhere. It keeps me out of this long that went nowhere. That's why I use the trade entry signal. Deborah asks, if I put 1 per swing pattern, that analyzing a 1, yeah, okay, when you're dealing with the swing pattern, the swing, don't think of it in terms of pattern. Think of it as a look back period, right? It's looking back, if you use 1, it's going to look back the previous bar. So it's either got to be higher or lower than the previous bar. If it uses a level of 5, it's got to be higher or lower than the previous 5 bars, okay? So if you have it unchecked, then it's just not even going to look on the past bars, whether it's relation of high or low relative to that. Deborah wants to use, she wants to look at crude. Give me a second here. I'll set 5 or an 8 range bar in crude. I think 5 is way too fast. But let me pull up an 8 range bar here really quick. Okay, so this is the 8 range. Honestly, I think 8 range in crude, just due to the volatility, is a pretty fast moving market. I wouldn't use, I used to use it, look at an 8 range. Honestly, for the way crude moves now, I mean, you're talking moves, 94.50 down to 90, basically 92.50. Well, from here it's 94.80 down to 92.80, $2 move in, what is that? Not even an hour, maybe just over an hour and a half. The 8 range, for me at least, is just a bit fast, that's all. But if I was using, on a fast moving market, I would use a higher level. Next level I would check would be 4. Then obviously the last level that you could check is 5. Then again, you could also add a filter, so that cleans it up a bit more. 4, at least you're catching that, still catching these big moves down, these moves up. And again, that's the 8 range chart. Steve asks, I'm new to your order flow tools. Is Stratum a good place to start? Another one like Pulse or something else? I like to trade ultra bonds. No, it's a good place to start. It's, again, I don't know, let's go back to the ultra bonds here. UB. So ultra bonds is a great contract trade. If you're scalping, right, you're just looking for those little moves, right? I mean, it's, what is that, like 31 bucks a tick, 31.25, catch 2 or 3 ticks on each move. It's happy days, right? Maybe you could squeeze out a bit more. This is a setting of 4, right? This is my setting that I rolled over from crude just now. But ultra bonds, again, you could try a level of 2. Say you want more trades if you're more active scalper. You can use a setting of 2, right? So you can be a bit more active. TN also, ultra 10 years, great contract. Since the signal is after a trigger count, when do we enter? As soon as it appears. I use the trade entry signal because when I used to automate stuff, I did before I had the trade entry signal. I use the automation tool markers, which just works with markers, where I told markers, once the conditions were met for a trade, where the market, the signal was there, bar closed, then it had to keep moving in the same direction in the next bar for at least 2 ticks, take the trade. But we took that part of the automation and we put it in here. So to answer your question, if you're using that trade entry signal, it will appear after the signal bar. If you disable it, it will appear on the signal bar. Can you please explain the logic behind Stratum by bringing up a footprint chart? Want to understand what in the footprint chart triggers a signal in Stratum? Well, it's the order flow and the volume. Sorry, the volume in the value area, right? How it's being distributed. Sometimes it's normal, sometimes it's not. Basically, it's not all value areas are created the same. Maxim, hi Mike, can you tell us more about the theory behind that, please? Yeah, what value areas are bullish, what are bearish? Well, it's not that, it's bullish or bearish value areas. Okay, I mean, there are value areas that are bullish and bearish, right? We do identify that in our Orderflows Trader software by putting on, highlighting the value areas blue or for bullish or red for bearish, but this one is not programmed and the Stratum is not part of the Orderflows Trader software. And how this volume is being distributed in here is telling me it's bullish, right? As opposed to how the volume, and it's not just how the volume is being distributed, how it's being distributed throughout the bar as well, right? Even though we don't analyze this volume in here, we're analyzing this volume, but we also take into account how it's being formed in that bar, okay? Where the heavier volume is in the value areas, etc. Right? There's a lot of moving pieces to it. If I went into it, then, honestly, what happens to a lot of my indicators when I explain them in depth like that, people try to reverse engineer them and come out with them. Colin, could we see NQ 3 minutes, please? Yeah, just give me a second here. Get my chart. I don't know how it's going to look on a 3-minute NQ chart. It might take a little bit time for data to load, but we'll pull it up anyway. Do signals repaint? Well, once the bar closes, no, they won't repaint. If you are not using the trade entry signal, as soon as the signal appears, it will paint, but if things change, it will disappear. But once the bar closes and it's there, then it won't repaint ever again. I mean, you need, once the bar closes, that's it. Then it moves on to the next bar for analysis. Does the shadow appear with the indicator? Yeah, it does. But again, you could enable it, you could disable it, you could even enable it to appear longer. Okay, just, I know this is ultra bonds, but I know some people like to draw it out further. We don't, I mean, it could get confusing for some people, but I mean, it's up to you how far you want to draw it out, whether you just want it right on there or you want to draw it out further. Okay, but let me just, well, Let's go take a look at the NQ because that's what you asked for. NQ, this is my NQ chart. Glenn says, yeah, I think most are trading. Could we look at those NQ, ES, gold, crude? Yeah, that's what we looked at. Yeah, I know that a lot of traders trade at NQ, ES, but I know there's also a lot of traders that use order flow on these other markets. And the reason why they like to use they trade these other markets because sometimes it's a bit easier to trade in that sense because these other markets tend to follow supply and demand better. Yeah, Brian, it does require tick replay. The question is, does this require tick replay? Yes, it does. Albert, I answered that about the color bands. John asked, what does it look like on a 10-minute time frame? Honestly, I don't know because I haven't looked. I mean, we'll pull it up after this and this 3-minute chart. Can you show some examples on footprint charts? Yeah, I can. Fatinia, you don't need a footprint chart. I mean, you could run it on a footprint chart. Where's my footprint here? Yeah, for presentation purposes, I'm just using a bar chart. It's a little bit easier, but you can see here, right? This is it on the footprint chart. All right. This is with the trade entry signal disabled. Right, you see Stratum there. This is MES. This is a 1-minute chart. But again, this is just giving me every signal because trade entry signal is turned off. Tell you what, I will load up a 10-minute chart on here. While that's coming up, we'll take a look at the NQ 3-minute chart. So this is a 3-minute chart of the NQ. I think this was set to 4-3, I think. So again, not getting a whole heck of a lot of trades this afternoon here. This was the day before. What was the setting on this one? Set to 2. Again, if I were to bump it up to a higher level, 4 or 5, there'd be less signals. But this is setting a 2 on a 3-minute chart. You know, it's a bit longer, I'll say longer term, but longer than I'm normally used to looking at. You know, these look like small moves, but we had that big move. If you were to sort of expand this chart up, you can see, get a better idea of these, you know, a little bit, you know, this is that shoulder time in Asia that I hate to trade. Hate looking at that sort of that 10:30 to 1:30 time, even though there was a nice late move here. But this is at that junk period of time, that Asian junk period. Warren asked, yeah, I got that question. Is there a template to optimize on it? You don't need to. You don't need a template. Whether you're using, you know, I like to use white charts just because of my eyes. If you're using a black chart, it's still going to appear the same way. So you don't need a special template or anything. You just load it up on a chart. Make sure you got tick replay enabled. Does it work with Forex, CFDs? You know, I'm not a Forex guy in the sense of trading actual Forex. I like the futures on, you know, the Forex futures contracts on the CME. CFDs, no, because you can't get good, reliable data. It doesn't need level 2, it just needs level 1. Leela, what says one best Forex broker? I can't recommend a Forex broker, unfortunately. Warren asked, I had several programs for platform, Leela. Yeah, NinjaTrader's fine. You know, a lot of these Forex brokers, they got their own platforms. Warren asked, I had several programs, which would use as a filter with Stratum. Well, you know, Stratum looks at order flow. My indicators look at order flow, but they look at different parts of order flow. So trying to filter it out with different indicators, you know, isn't probably isn't something that I really delved into, right? I mean, yeah, it's nice to see confirmation with, say, Delta Scalper and Stratum and stuff like that, but I haven't gone in depth on that analysis. Usually, I'll run, you know, different indicators every chart's going to have a different indicator, right? This is like, for example, flows plow, right? Flows force, right? Abandoned value. Each indicator, each chart's going to have its own indicator running on it. Sometimes, when you're running a couple indicators on the same chart, you think, well, it's like kids, right? I don't say you prefer one over the other, but you find yourself taking trades because it's got this indicator, or as it doesn't. You sort of deviate from your plan a bit. That's just me. John asked for a 3-minute E-mini chart. Sure. Get the E-minis here. Pull that one up here. So while that's coming up, let's hold off a bit here. I think use markers with this, but if you can use NT strategy tester with this, I don't know, Justin. I don't use a strategy tester. I just use markers. Deborah asks, is this analyzing each individual candle bar volume or delta profile? It analyzes the bar volume and how the bar volume is being distributed. It doesn't deal with the delta. Yeah, it's based on the individual bar, Deborah. Brian, yes, there will be a recording. If I get it up later today and shoot you the email. Okay, so while this 3-minute chart is coming up, I did load a 10-minute chart, didn't I? Okay, so this is the 10-minute chart here. So this is the footprint. 10-minute chart, you're not seeing very many signals. Here was one signal, one short signal there. Again, it's going to vary. Here's some shorts that didn't go anywhere. I don't know what setting I got on here. I'm going to come up here. 3. I don't know. Try setting a 1. See, with the market like ES, MES, it trades a lot of volume. It tends to be distributed generally pretty evenly rather. Antonius, yeah, I'll get to a 30-second chart in a minute. It's like bar volume profile indicator. Yeah, kind of, Deborah. So yeah, since this is like a bar volume profile indicator, lets the trader know the previous bar says enter the trade. Sort of like that. It does deal with sort of I don't want to say profile in the sense, because when you start thinking of profile, you're thinking of the shapes, right? But it's really about the distribution of the volume in the value area, right? Because when people start thinking of profiles, right, they start thinking of, oh, it looks like this, and that means something, or it looks like this, that means something, right? Like here, right, you see how from the swing low to the swing high, right, your value area is between this red and this green, and the VPOC is right in here, right? Well, in this case, it only came down to the value area high, then took off, right? In this case, this is your value area, and just sort of rotated around here before selling off. Okay, Deborah, yeah, you can run on a footprint chart. This is great. Yeah, you could use it with support and resistance levels as well. No, you don't need, Peter asked, do you need to add other indicators to help make decisions? No, you don't. Okay, Albert asked how to use it with markers. I'll probably make a separate video on that later tonight or this weekend. I just don't have time for that today, and it's more of a specialized thing because not everyone has markers. And maybe I'll hook up with Pablo and we'll do a special one on that. Where would you like to place your stop after entering at the signal? Well, where would I be looking to place my stop is below this blue line, right? Below this blue line or above the red line, right? It doesn't mean you have to place it right there. But once it starts coming in there, right? I use this as a visual reference for me, meaning if it's coming in do I, how am I going to react, right? I know that it's getting weaker when it keeps testing these levels, right? If it's nowhere near that level, okay, fine, I'm happy. So this is a 3-minute chart on ES. Again, it's, I, I don't, I don't look at a 3-minute chart. So what's the setting on this one? It's not a chart that I normally look at. It's set at 2. Again, sort of the higher time frames you go up, you might want to set it at lower magnitude level, because over time volume gets distributed. Okay. Uh, Let me see here, Deborah. Can you use? Yeah, you can. You could use all the tools in the Orderflow Trader, like the ratios, etc., as confirmation. I mean, you could use whatever tool you want as a confirmation. Yeah, Brian. Brian asks, Brian, before I get to your question, let me get Glenn's. Could one use volume bars, or would that be? No, you could use volume bars as well. So this is a 3-minute chart set to 1. I'll pull up a volume chart. Okay, so Brian asked, you were going to do a graph with all your indicators, differences, what they looked at. We have a webinar show how what indicators are better for pullbacks, continuation, or reversal moves. Okay, yeah, I've been working on that off and on. I didn't realize I got a lot of indicators. So it's something that's still a work in progress. Jerry asks, for the footprint chart, would it be possible to have a horizontal line going across the chart for infringement until the price touched in the future? Yeah, I mean, that would be something for the next version of Orderflows Trader. Deborah asks, do you sell the ratio indicator as a solo product? Yeah, we do. It's called the Market Flow Trader. Okay, yeah, I'll flip out that link, Deborah, to you. That sort of explains the indicators. Um, I know, Brian, I know what you're getting at there, and I know what you're asking. It's so I'm trying to put it into an easy to read format. The problem is, it's like I start writing it, and it's because like different indicators, so different indicators you use. Some use delta, some use imbalances, some use point of controls, some use volume, some use value areas. So it's like I'm trying to put it together in an easy way, but just I'll get that eventually. But Jerry, yeah, we have something like that coming out actually soon, but in the next upgrade of Orderflows Trader, we are trying to add that feature into all the tools on Orderflows Trader. So anyway, guys, it's coming up. Okay, as if last question here. Let's put this email in there for you. Just hit me up on. Okay, I'll put it in the chat there for you. Looking forward to your hookup with Pablo Stratum. Yeah, I'll reach out to Pablo today and see if we can set something up. So again, guys, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time out today. I know it's it's Friday. We've gone over an hour, and it's a lot of time to take out of your days. But again, this is a great indicator. If you want to get it, now's the time to get it. It's going to it's going to get up in price after this weekend. So now's the time to get it. So thanks for attending, and thanks for all your questions. Oh, Antonius, oh, sorry. Yeah, I promised you a 30-second chart. before we go here. 30 seconds. Leela, today I only got course videos. Okay, Leela. Well, the courses you got, Leela, were on the order flow, right? Not on the volume profile. You know what, Leela, I'll send you something on profiles. Let's make a note here for you. Just give me a second to write it down here. Okay, here, Antonius, this is, what's the setting I got here on this 30-second chart? Okay, this is set to 1, right, which is the bare minimum. Let me just turn off this first here, these zones. And okay, I set it to 1. Let's set to 1, but again, you know, at 1, you're going to get a lot of signals. Okay, so, you know, midpoint, you know, good starting point for, even though I say start at 1, I know how ES trades, that 1 is going to give you a lot of signals in the ES. Thanks, Elmar. Yeah, Jerry, with the Orderflows Trader software, you know, anytime we do any upgrades, they're always free. Mazar asks, do you offer money back guarantee? You know, I don't say, I don't say it in the sales page or anything like that, but you know, again, you know, if you use it, you know, you actively use it and, you know, but watch the markets for a couple of weeks, it's not for you or in your style of trading, just hit me up and I'll refund your money, right? The reason why I don't put on there, you know, Glenn, actually, thanks, Glenn. I appreciate that. The reason I don't put on there, you know, money back guarantee on the sales page is because, you know, sometimes you get people, they'll put it up on a chart, but then 10 minutes, like, oh, it doesn't work. And, you know, they don't give it time, right? They don't analyze, they don't dig deeper. They don't even open up the user guide to take a look at, you know, well, what this setting means and how I should use it, you know, on a particular market. So Antonius, this is a set at 3. Okay. This is today, you know, this is the night session. It's the day before. You know, today is one of those days, it's just flow driven. So everyone's just getting long. Another way you could do it, again, set the 3. If you were to set it at, you know, 1, a lot of signals, you could use a look back filter. Justin, did I miss the answer to whether you could use it? I suppose you could use a strategy tester. It's, you know, my programmer that programmed it, he does use strategy tester. I don't use strategy tester, so that's why I sort of dodged the answer to your question. But I know that he uses strategy tester. I don't know if he's tested it with strategy tester, but I know that he uses it. And so a lot of the stuff he codes for me can be used with it. If you get it and it doesn't work with strategy tester, let me know. We'll either make it work with it or I'll just give you your money back. Hey, Sam. So, oh, you know, I didn't get your email, but I'll make a note of it. I'll take a look again. Maybe it's, you know, I think you changed your email though, you know, because I don't recognize that email. So maybe it was just you know, it just didn't get through in there. Yeah, just resend it again. Yeah, mike@orderflow.com. So anyway, so here's the 30-second chart with, you know, the filter, swing filter set to 1 and the magnitude level set to 1. So, you know, it's a little bit better. Just sort of go back. This is that day. This is the night session. Again, you know, this is the day of the CPI number came out. Oh, this is all that stuff here. The day before, Tuesday. Yeah, Jerry, this is being recorded. Okay. Okay, real quick. Last question. I know I said last question about 5 times. Um, does it only work on time-based charts? No, again, you could use, tick-based charts or volume-based charts. Let's just take a look at, I don't know, let's choose a market here, gold. Um, well, you know what? We'll use, this is a 30-second chart on gold. It's quite nice, but 10 years. Okay, gold, because a lot of people are interested in gold. Let's take a look at a tick-based chart. Yeah. So this is well, that's a 30-second in gold, but tick-based chart, I don't know, 50, call it 50 ticks. Um, and again, yeah, you can use volume, whatever volume you want. I wouldn't use like thousands. Usually when I look at volume-based charts, I look anywhere between 200 to 500. So this is a setting of, I think, just one, right? One with a look back of one. So let's just give you something to think. Well, we'll use this look back of 5, right, with the strength of 1. Jerry, I don't know if it will work with the logic Renko bars. You do need tick replay enabled. So if the logic Renkos don't use tick replay, then you can't use it. So this is a setting of 5 and 1. Okay, it's not a tick-based chart. Or for example, turn that off and you say you set it to 5, right? Deborah's is better than order flows pulse. Well, again, it looks at different aspects of order flow. Okay, so here's a tick-based chart with it's set to 5 with no look back filter. So yeah, you got a little chop in here, and then you're catching the major moves. Sometimes my indicators are like, people say, which is the best indicator? Well, it really depends on how you want to approach the market, and which market you're trading. Because there are certain indicators I think that are stronger, perform better in different market conditions, right? I mean, sometimes people say, I trade NQ on a 5-minute chart. What can you recommend? Well, I can't recommend anything for you on that case. But they trade NQ on this type of chart, or they look at a 20 range chart. So everyone is different in that sense. All right, guys. I'm gonna end it there. I don't want to take off everybody's Friday. It is Friday. So again, get the indicator. Just go to orderflows.com/stratum. I know I'll be sending out another email later with the replay anyway, and there'll be the link in there. Okay. So again, thanks for taking the time out today, and I hope to see a lot of you guys using this. Thanks, and bye-bye.